everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are doing great. Now, in today's video, I wanted to talk about happiness because in our modern society, there seems to be a pandemic, if you will, of people who are generally and genuinely unhappy, or they don't really know how to find happiness, or perhaps they don't even really know the true meaning of happiness. The thing about life and about happiness is that it's a journey. So when we have those moments where we're just not feeling great at all, and perhaps that can last months at a time or maybe even years, these things are part of our journey. They are things that we learn so that we become wiser people, where we become stronger people. Of course, there's that saying, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And while that is such a cliche and pretty cheesy, it is pretty true. Also, as an empath, as a highly sensitive person, as an INFP, as a sensitive person in general, it's very, very easy to get stuck into these certain ruts where you use your emotions in order to try and change a situation, or however that situation pans out. We feel and respond to that situation incredibly deeply, and it can be quite an annoying concept to deal with. But it can also be a strength, because where there is emotion and sensitivity and passion, there is inspiration, there is the will to want to change things, there is the will to want to infiltrate and to make a difference. It's just how we go about doing that. That's the biggest mystery. Nevertheless, in saying that, modern society has certainly created a kind of platform where narcissism runs rife. It's really hard to find your purpose, and especially as an empath, having our purpose there is what makes the difference in our life. So when we don't have that purpose, or we don't quite know what that is, especially in modern society, it can really bring us down. So the biggest question that we're faced with really is, what is true happiness? Is it something that we chase? Is it something that we acquire by doing a certain something to achieve a certain something? Is it by gaining things, by being part of a certain social group? Is it by obtaining a certain status? Or is it something that is a way of being? Is it a choice? Now, of course, obviously it's the second one, because I made that pretty bloody obvious, really, didn't I? Happiness is indeed a choice, and while it doesn't really feel like it, because it's so very easy to fall into a state of despair, being there through most of my life, it's how we choose the happiness which is what actually makes the difference. So to journey through life with intent, with intention, is one way that I've personally discovered how to obtain that kind of contentment and happiness in life. When you go about life and you make certain choices, do you do so with intent? Do you intentionally choose those things for a reason? Or do you just, it's like whatever, you just pick this and pick that because it's easier at the time, and it's like, who cares about the consequences of that? A great way that I look at this is from Good Buffalo Eagle from the Anasazi Foundation. Good Buffalo Eagle talks of the two walks in life. As the two-legged beings, we have been granted the gift of choice.
I am Good Buffalo Eagle. Hear my words. The Creator gave all two-legged beings a sacred gift. We call this the gift of choice. Regardless of where we are born, all come to earth with this gift. Along with this gift of choice, all two-legged beings have a sense of knowing right from wrong, from the one who stands within. Therefore, the gift of choice allows us to choose knowingly. My Pauline, the woman of my heart, states that in her Navajo language, life is a walking, a journey. So if life upon Mother Earth is a journey, there are two ways to walk. By applying the gift of choice, we can choose to walk forward, or we can choose to walk backwards. Because we choose knowingly, with every step we take forward or backward, we are accountable.
With that choice comes consequences and manifestations. Whatever you choose to do in life has cause and effects. If you simply choose to go about life without really taking any kind of care on what you do, and You often find yourself slothing it out on the sofa and playing video games every day and not really pushing yourself to be doing anything more than what you think that you are. If you're making certain choices that hurt people or hurt yourself, or you're just simply going about life with choosing things without having any intent or purpose behind those choices, then you are walking the backwards walk. Whereas if you acknowledge who you are, if you acknowledge that you want to be able to make the most out of life every day, if you acknowledge the fact that there are mistakes that you've made, but you want to learn from them and you want to make better choices as a result, if you walk with intent and choose your choices wisely because you understand that every choice bears a consequence, every choice has a cause and effect, then you're walking the forward walk. These are the two choices that we're given in life as intelligent beings. And whatever you choose to do, whatever your belief systems are, whatever your value systems are, these are the things which you have a relationship with. So if you are walking with intent, if there are things that you're doing in life that you're doing with purpose, that's what you have a relationship with. If you're going through life just not caring about anything, not caring about who you walk all over, not caring about what you're putting into your body, not caring about how you treat yourself, then that is what you have a relationship with. Just recently, I've been purchasing some of my food from the store called Trade Aid. It's a fair trade store in New Zealand. I'm pretty sure it's in other countries as well. And what I found when I was consuming these products, so like coffee and like fair trade chocolate and stuff, was I started thinking about the hands in which prepared these foods. These hands which harvested all the beans and the rice, etc. And the preparation which went into that, which went into the packaging, which went into sending it over to New Zealand. And then of course the fair pay that these people got for their indigenous traditional farming. And I really took notice of this energy exchange, this cause and effect, this choice that I made to go to Trade Aid and purchase this and to be able to consume it and to know the hands in which made that possible. When you really think about it, it's like we're all really connected here. Every choice that we make in life really, in a way, has a butterfly effect on the rest of the world, whether we consciously know this or not. As sensitive people, it's often really easy for us to be able to put other people ahead of us. It's easy to fall back onto a default not being able to put our boundaries up properly. It's easy for us to sometimes act like martyrs and to put others before our own well-being. Obviously, of course, we know that this is not the healthiest way of being. And of course, when we put ourselves first, when we realize that we are the most important people in our lives, then it's going to be much easier for us to obtain happiness and contentment within our lives. My dad, Grandfather Whitebear, was the person in my life to have taught me this concept. And he would follow it up with asking me, what grows my corn? The sentiment, what grows your corn, has a lot to do with what are you bringing into your life, or what do you have in your life that nourishes who you are, nourishes what you do, nourishes your environment. If there is something in your life which is not growing your corn, that is something that you should be reviewing and potentially letting go of. Sometimes we make certain sacrifices that are at a direct threat to our own well-being. This can absolutely suck the energy and the life force from us. And I know that we as sensitive people are so prone to doing this. And it's so important to understand what grows our corn and what doesn't. What is good for us and what isn't. There is nothing selfish about letting certain things go in your life which really do bring you down. This could mean certain relationships, it could mean certain activities, it could mean certain traumas that you've held on to for a very long time. Of course, this relates to the airplane analogy, which is where if you're in an airplane and there's an emergency and the oxygen masks come down, you're supposed to put your oxygen mask on first before you put it on anyone else who is less capable than you. And obviously, this is because if you so happen to try and put the oxygen masks on someone else and something bad happens, like airways cut off or there's no oxygen coming to you, you're not going to be able to help them properly. It's the same concept with in life. How much of our energy are we willing to sacrifice for others at the expense of our own well-being? In the last video where I talked about taking your power back, I talked of accepting what is and understanding the things that we can and cannot change. Grandfather White Bear would tell me to think globally and act locally. What this means is that in order for us to change the world, if that's something that we want to do, it's not as simple as to say, well, I'm going to go out there and change the world, because that is a very difficult concept to achieve. But what we can do and how we do influence things that are outside of ourselves, how we do influence our environment, is by changing what we can about what's going on internally within us. Grandfather White Bear was a big advocate for wanting to save the trees, and his elder would often say to him, "Hey Bear, how many trees have you saved today?" And of course he'd say, "Oh, well, none." And over time, when his elder would continue to ask him that question, Bear wound up responding saying, "I didn't save a tree today, but I saved myself." And then his elder was like, "Bingo. You got it." It's like what Jordan Peterson would say about before you go out and try to rearrange the world, make sure that your house is in order first. And while obviously it's pretty hard to kind of scale yourself to where you feel like you need to be or to perfection, it's not really about perfection. It's about comparing yourself to who you were yesterday. When you understand that life is about experiencing pain. It's about experiencing emotions, and a lot of those emotions are very negative. There are things in life that happen that are incredibly negative. In ancient Athens, the two main forms of theatrical performance they had were Greek tragedy and Greek comedy, and both of those concepts reflect life. Comedy is about making fun of the dark aspects of life and bringing them up and laughing about it. And tragedy is about acknowledging the fact that the bad things in life, they inevitably do hurt, they suck, and it is a part of life. And of course, as culture has changed and evolved over time, our art has reflected our culture, it's reflected the human condition, it's reflected the tragedy that is of the human condition. It's our way of understanding it. When we understand it, it's so much easier to be able to accept that and then say, well, how do I respond to all of these things that are happening in life? And once you change how you respond to it through acceptance, you begin to let go of the I must do this, I have to do this. You begin to let go of those demands that you place on yourself. I know it can be really overwhelming when there are things in life that you want to be able to change. You want to be able to fix society because it seems pretty broken. I agree. And it's hard when you want to so much, but you can't really see any kind of change. But that change starts with you. It starts by your own self-acceptance, your own self-improvement, wanting to be able to heal the things that hurt you yesterday. And I keep bringing up Grandfather White Bear, but you know what? He has helped me become the person that I am today. So I'm going to continue quoting him because I consider him a wise man and my elder. And I'm very lucky to be able to have someone like him in my life who has helped me come into my own. He's got this really cool concept and it's called driving your own car. And I won't go into complete depth with this because I really want to have him back on the channel so I can talk with him about driving your own car because he explains it so much better than me. Driving your own car is about having self-responsibility. It is about you taking ownership of your life, and by you making informed decisions and choices so that you can go about life walking with intent, going back to that first point. Now, you know what's completely ironic about this one is that I still don't drive an actual car. I have my learner's license, but I haven't yet gotten to the point where I'm driving independently. So this is one that, actually I need to be able to improve on. When we look at the second point, which was put yourself first, this kind of comes into this concept because you're going to be the one having your back at the end of it all. Of course, we do so much better when we're in communities where we help each other, where we love each other, where we're contributing. But at the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed, that's just you there. In this universe, you have you and yourself first and foremost. And if you can take ownership of who you are and drive your own car, then you're going to be incredibly self-reliant. If everything just so happens to turn to custard, you know that you're going to be okay because you drive your own car. If you let someone else drive your own car, then you're not taking ownership of who you are. You're letting someone else be at the forefront of you, and you're putting them first. We are the ones who are responsible for our lives. We're the ones who are responsible for our happiness. We're the ones responsible for our behavior. Well, there are certain things in life that have caused trauma. It's up to us then indefinitely to be able to heal from that because we deserve to, because we're the ones who drive our own car. So this one is probably the hardest one to be able to achieve, which is get off your device and get into nature. I know we all can acknowledge this one because we all understand that being on devices, being on technology can really disrupt the connection between us and the natural world or other people. The irony about social media is that it's completely anti-social. We're actually incredibly disconnected from our communities, from people, even though we actively do use social media, and I do a lot because I have many friends that are dotted across the world, and I'm very grateful to be able to connect with them. But of course, I do often get caught up in the news, I get caught up in the turmoil that's happening around the world, and it can upset me. But there is nothing like being able to break out of that, go into nature, go into my garden, going to connect with people face to face and actually put the phone away. Social media has bred narcissism. It has disconnected us from what life truly is. It's disconnected us from our communities. It's disconnected us from achieving our goals and our projects. But there is certainly nothing like the healing qualities of nature. You're actually able to get out there and be amongst it, be amongst people. Is the way that we're using technology hurting us, hurting others, hurting the environment, hurting communities? It's something that I have to look at every day when I sometimes find myself scrolling mindlessly and getting upset about certain things. Is that something that you find yourself doing? And how do you feel about being in nature? Do you have communities that you connect with? Anyway, you guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video or got something out of it. I hope that everything's going well in your part of the world, that you're doing okay. I know that it's tough still with this ongoing pandemic and all of these social unrest and everything. But I hope you guys have a really good day, night, morning, evening, wherever you're in the world, and I'll see you guys all again for the next video. Bye.